This is the family of a 74-year-old British grandfather who's due to be given 350 lashes in Saudi Arabia. Now, they've pleaded with David Cameron to intervene and have that flogging stopped. Karl Andree was sentenced to 12 months in prison and 350 lashes for breaching Saudi Arabia's strict anti-alcohol laws. It seems that he had some homemade alcohol, don't know all the details, in the boot of his car, and that's why he was convicted. Seems very brutal. Lashings in the street. What do you think?
It is totally brutal, and we live in a very civilised society where we are from, and certainly regarding drink and all of that. But my problem with it is that this guy has lived there 25 years. I mean, he knows how strict those laws are. I don't agree with the sentencing at all, but who am I to tell another country what their law should be?
So you don't think that the government here should intervene, that David Cameron
I would like them to intervene because I watched his son being interviewed today, and I don't think they're complaining about the actual prison sentence, but it's the lashing because he's an older man and he's not well. And I agree with them on that. I think if they can stop that side of it, then they should. Any sympathy?
Limited sympathy, because he'd lived there 25 years, and in Saudi Arabia you don't just get, for serious, you know, what they regard as serious offences, you do not just get a jail sentence, you get a physical punishment as well. And I think it's brutal, inhumane, and it, you know, deeply, deeply offensive. But there's another case in Saudi Arabia that offends me far more, and that's a man, a journalist, who just dared to criticise the regime, Raif Badawi, who was sentenced to 10 years in jail and 1,000 lashes for simply daring to criticise the regime. And his wife has gone to Canada and is trying to, she's left the country and is trying to get him kicked out so at least they can rebuild their life together. But this is a man who's just dared to criticise
and the worst thing is he has 50 lashes at a time, so the 50 he has and the next 50 his body can't heal. So in fact he's getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and that is barbaric beyond.
I mean, I think we all agree. We all agree that that's barbaric and it's not something that happens here. And like Colin said, you know, a bit of kind of homemade hooch in the boot of your car is not extreme to us.
It's true. I mean, and I agree with you. He knows. He's been there 25 years. He knows the rules. He knows. I mean, we would all know. You know, we can't do that. The only thing I'll say is he's an older man. He's not very well. When Cameron maybe should intervene is with his family and go to his family and say, you know, and give them the support. I don't think there's anything you can do about it. That's the law of the land, and that's, you know, we have different laws here.
But look at our relationship with Saudi Arabia.
Well, exactly.
We operate a completely double standard. We want people to have equality in this country, freedom of speech. We want, you know, we believe in treating people fairly.
Especially women.
Especially women. And there's a country where women were not allowed to drive until recently, and even then now they can only drive in certain circumstances. But of course it's a really, really valuable trade partner. So
they're saying about £13 billion, the trade between British and Saudi companies.
It's oil,
is
isn't it?
worth
That's
to this country. So and actually a Foreign Office spokesman has said, oh sorry, have I just heard that's... Oh, I was just going to read this to say that the government officials were talking to the Saudi government and trying to get his release, but I've just been told that they're now not going to give him those lashings. And they're saying officials are actually actively seeking his release as soon as possible.
well, let's hope they do the same for Raif Badawi.
Well, exactly.